Hey,
Hey
everybody.
everyone, it's a daily dose of Dr. Drew. You're supposed to wait for me, Drew.
Thank you, Miss Announcer. I appreciate it. Miss Announcer, producer, wife,
Wifey.
everything. Again, we are doing a daily dose here every day. We're trying it early in the morning today. We both have a busy day, and so we're going to be out and unable to do a daily stream later in the day as we normally do, so we appreciate you being here.
What did I tell you about making excuses?
No excuses, and those of you that came in from K-Rock, I was just on with Kevin and his team, welcome. We are doing a show. I'll give you a minute here for everyone to kind of pile in. I'm watching your comments on Restream. So
What were you talking about on K-Rock?
We were talking about a fighter who is masturbating 7 times a day to try to increase his testosterone levels, and I was sort of taking issue with that, saying that the way testosterone works is if you're not active enough, it's down. There's sort of an optimal zone, and if you're too active, it falls off the other side. And so this guy, I don't think, is doing himself any service. Also, there's spiking fluctuations during his sexual activity that doesn't sustain afterwards. So it's not clear he's doing anything. So just that, we were talking about that. And,
Nice.
No Adam and Dr. Drew podcast today. You're correct. This is Thursday. We'll have one tomorrow. We're doing 3 times a week right now. Hopefully later.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Hopefully later in February, we'll start to do 5 times a week again. Thank you, Oh No, for asking about that. Hi from Denver, Denise. Tracy, thank you. And again, I'm seeing all of your comments on Facebook, Twitter, I guess not Twitter, but Facebook, Periscope, and wherever else you are streaming. And so you can ask your questions there. Yes, John Leiterman. Good to see you, John. That's what he's doing, John. I'm not going to repeat that on the stream.
Who's?
John Leiterman is,
What did he say?
he is someone that Mike and I know well, Mike Catherwood and I. Aside from Mike.
I think people on Facebook saw it.
Saw
what he said.
Saw John. Yeah, well, of course. Okay, so there's a couple questions coming up here right away, and I will get into it in just a second. Yeah, Periscope is Twitter. Mag, I guess I'll call you. That's what I understand. Correct.
And thank you for all the hearts on Periscope. We're growing. We're growing. And also on YouTube, we really appreciate the follows there. And, of course, our loyal people at Facebook, we appreciate all the likes and the retweets and the sharing that you do.
And Fran says this is a good time for the Daily Dose.
Well, we'll move it around, because some people have time in the morning, some people have time in the evening.
And again, we do the Sunday show at 3 o'clock Pacific, where we actually have call-ins. It's not just the Restream. Then I've got a caller interactive show with guests. Be Leanne Tweeden this week.
Yes, and Ryan Holiday.
And Ryan Holiday, the Stoic philosopher. Ryan, his book, The Enemy, Ego is the Enemy, and The Obstacle is the Way.
Trust Me on Lying.
Trust Me on Lying.
He writes lots of books.
Couple good questions here. Have I ever smoked weed? Yes, and it just never really did anything for me. It made me sort of paranoid. And so when people started talking about how they love it, I knew there was something different biologically going on with some people as compared to what I experienced. Just came home from a hospital for SVT ablation. So supraventricular tachycardia is the upper parts of your heart, which are the atria, can start to fire off abnormally for various reasons, some of which are just sort of genetic and don't really have any implication to the well-being of the heart muscle. But the rhythms can be very disturbing. And so what they do is they go in there with a wire, they map out exactly where that is coming from, and they burn it so it doesn't keep recurring. And good for you, hot tub fun, which after that ablative therapy. Okay, let me see what else you've got here. I'm trying to read.
That was fast.
Yeah. Ivan says, I'm going to propose this to you, wife producer. What should we call you? We need an acronym for my wife producer announcer.
How about Susan?
Yeah, but then they won't know. They won't understand.
When you're working with Leanne, do you call her co-host Leanne?
Yeah, I'll say my co-host Leanne. Yeah.
All right. I'm your co-host too.
Okay.
So
all right. That's fair enough. Co-host producer.
But I'm also the techie person.
Okay.
In the family.
Co-host producer, and tech genius. Here's somebody that gets Dexter vibes from me.
I spend all the money on the studio and the equipment. You can call me the main purchaser as well.
Right. So the
right.
Central supply.
To make you visible.
So Susan, somebody on Periscope says they get Dexter vibes from me. What do you make of that?
What does that mean?
That I'm a secret serial killer or something.
From you?
So yes.
Nah.
Okay. I'm
You're
sorry.
so sweet. You're way too sweet. Maybe that's why you just seem too
That
nice.
freaks them out. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Like you're hiding something.
Jesse, more than once or twice, because I lived on a floor with a bunch of stoners, and they kept trying to get me. They kept telling me I wasn't doing it properly, and the more I followed their direction, the more uncomfortable and the more I hated it. So
Hey.
just and I think it led to, I think it contributed to my panic attacks in college. In retrospect, I think there was certainly a proximity in time to all that, and when I developed severe panic attacks. Alrighty, I'm going to keep going here. If you're prone to anxiety, will CBD cause anxiety? So that's a really interesting question, and we don't have the data for me to be able to tell you exactly what the probability is of that happening. My co-host producer, tell them what happened to you. You have kind of anxiety, and you took CBD, and what happened?
No, I don't have anxiety.
Yeah, you do. You have a amount of anxiety.
No, I don't.
When we had kids, you didn't have anxiety?
Well, I did then,
Okay,
but
I'm
I
just
had
saying.
triplets.
So I know. So
and I was also going through perimenopause. I had
Right.
a lot of it then. But
Right.
no, but THC causes anxiety in my
But how about
brain.
CBD? What did
CBD. I tried one of the CBDs that we got through one of our sponsors
Mhm.
just to see if I could sleep better.
Mhm.
Not that I needed it.
Right.
I was just testing it,
Right.
and I woke up and the next day I was just having anxiety attacks all day.
Right. So
Like
she
I
had.
was
So
going
she
through
had.
menopause again.
Right. So again, how many people would get that? I have many more people that tell me they get beneficial effects from it. So hard to
just trying
predict.
it.
If
I
you
didn't know.
if you have anxiety that's clinically relevant, don't do anything without talking to your doctor. That's
Well, I think that also, anything. I can't take anything like a sleeping pill. If I take a half a sleeping pill, it knocks me out. So
okay. So Tracy keeps asking me the line between enabling and helping. That is a very difficult line to draw. It's not a bright line. It's not a yes/no sort of thing. And unfortunately, because of the way that if you're enabling or trying to help an addict, you can't perceive that line when you're in the relationship with the addict, which is why you must, if you're going to be working with an addict, you must either have an Al-Anon program with a sponsor or your own therapist, because then you go back to your corner like a fighter and you reflect on what's going on and you connect to your resource and they help you fight the disease of addiction. Otherwise, you get sucked into it. So you will essentially, if you care about somebody who's an addict, you will essentially always be enabling unless you have somebody in your corner working with you on it. And I know that seems a little harsh, but that's sort of the way it works.
can you scroll up to Florida Boy 3? He says, "Are you seeing my questions?" Yes, we are.
And what are his questions?
He said, "What's the best thing for back pain other than opioids?"
Back pain will generally be perpetuated by opioids, not by two mechanisms. I mean, obviously, if you have acute pain and you're on your back and you need opioids, you take opioids. But after about 2 weeks, you often develop something called hyperalgesia, which makes the back pain worse, and chronic and some withdrawal, and back pain is a feature of opiate withdrawal. So other things, there's a million other things to be done, including physical therapy, walking, various kinds of surgical interventions, acupuncture, chiropractic. I mean, there's just tons of things to do for back pain. And there's differing medications other than opiates, things like Toradol and Neurontin and I mean, topical Voltaren. There's just all kinds of stuff. Ice locally and topical lidocaine. I mean, there's just a lot to be done, and it is about using multifactorial interventions to help with back pain.
What does that mean?
Many different techniques of managing it. John wants to know, how serious am I running for Congress? I've said repeatedly, I am not running for Congress.
Not this time.
Not.
Although it would be
I
an
am
easy
serious. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
serious.
apparently.
It'd be easy. Is that what you said?
Yes. Everybody's telling
Everybody
you to
thinks
do
it'd be
it.
easy anyway.
Well, I guess, and you have support from all over the country. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I guess you really ticked some people off.
Right. I take some people off.
No, he did.
He does, yeah. So I feel morally moved by what's going on in this state. I have to do something. Gavin Newsom made some comments yesterday that were astonishingly ignorant, and it made me again think, oh my God, I've got to do something. So I don't know that we're going to get anywhere fast, so I'm probably going to have to do something eventually. Exactly what I do, I don't know. It'll be a couple years down the line. Mariana, do I know what ITP is? Yes. Idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura is a common
Say that fast.
Idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura is a common attack on the megakaryocytes in your bone marrow that produce platelets.
God.
the lead singer of Korn had this. Jonathan had it, and we'll tell you his story. He's recounted it many times. And you're saying that a treatment with counts at 24,000 in a child, but not an active bleeder. It's when it gets below 20,000 that you really have to worry about it. And the treatments, steroids are still kind of the mainstay of treatment, at least initially. And steroids, of course, has tons and tons and tons of side effects, so you want to avoid that if you can. This usually gets better with time, though you have to make sure there's not something else going on triggering the ITP. Okay. Let me...
Thank you, Florida, for saying my voice is very attractive.
And IQ 10's unit, that's another good way of
managing. I have a face for radio,
back
too.
pain. Hardly. if hardly.
Well, I don't have makeup
what's
on
the
right now. I haven't even
scariest-
brushed my teeth.
Yeah.
Like pulling me out of bed. This is my
What
work
is on
hour.
Dr. Drew After Dark this week? I think it is Kate Kennedy.
No, that
Oh,
was last week.
last
It's
week?
Annie.
Oh, Annie's thing. Oh, poor Annie.
So
Annie's got.
it's No
it's-
Shit November with Annie.
Jesus.
That's what it's called.
Oh my God.
I just posted it on drdrew.com if you want to find the links. Well, it's up on Libsyn, and it's also on your podcast, and tomorrow it'll be on YouTube. So
Nicole is saying, please watch San Diego Mayor's State of the City address. It will make you feel great. I met the mayor. I've talked to him. I know he's on it. He understands what's going on. He's taking care of business, flat out dealing with the mental health crisis in his streets. And guess what? San Diego, the only city in the state whose homeless numbers are going down.
yay.
Shocking.
Congratulations.
Shocking. I will be in Sacramento on Monday night touring Sacramento's homeless population and giving a talk on Tuesday morning.
And we were doing promotion. I thought we could sell tickets, but apparently they're sold out.
Yeah, it's sold out. Sorry
I'm
about
sorry,
that.
but here's the link on drdrew.com if you want to read more about it. It's right there on the
I don't know if they're going to
Dr.
put it up
Drew's-
somewhere. I don't think they will.
No, they have it. If you click on the link, you can find all the information about what's going on.
Yeah, Nicole, I know he heard me because he didn't even hear me. He was already he went out, he studied the problem, and you can't avoid the conclusion if you study the problem. And then he and I talked about it, and I refined I hope I refined his perception a little bit, but he was already on it. He was on it. The mayor
That's
gets it.
great.
Really good.
That's interesting.
You keep asking about idiopathic hypersomnia. I addressed it yesterday.
There's the yippee dogs.
And I said I don't know the difference between idiopathic hypersomnia and narcolepsy. I would like to know that difference. Idiopathic hypersomnia just means you're excessively sleepy. Idiopathic, the word idiopathic means we don't have an underlying explanation for what's happening. And when I was in medical school, we were always taught that idiopathic, we quipped, means the doctor's an idiot and the patient is pathetic. Idiopathic. We don't know what's going on. The doctors are helpless. and we feel bad for the patient.
Do you need a sip of coffee?
You know, I need to cough is all. Clear my throat.
We need to put water up there.
Specific CBD brands, yes, social CBD. We do promote them, and they are my understanding, and I've investigated that pretty carefully. They are the real deal. They do their homework, and that's what you want. Somebody that is no THC and really make sure they test their CBD products for purity. They seem to do it. Yes, see, they like the dogs barking, and no dog.
Okay.
Rex is a little bit late this morning. He normally comes right in to be on camera right about now, so he should be
There's
piling in
Rex.
here. You see him?
He has a new show coming up.
He does. A new show? What's his show?
The Rex and Drew Show. We're going to do another podcast.
Oh my gosh. So, all right, guys. How far in are we?
He gets to be first, though.
Miss co-host producer, how far along are we?
16 minutes and 40 seconds.
60
We
minutes.
don't have a ton of time, so ask your
Yeah.
questions.
So, Dizzle, how was your mom's
And
house?
please retweet and share this with your friends. If you would, please. Please.
Okay, so I think you're the idiopathic hypersomnic patient. Had no cataplexy symptom, has had a sleep study, and they still don't know what's going on. Yeah, well, you've had the right workup done, that's for sure. I always worry when somebody has an idiopathic sleep disturbance that there's trauma involved. And if you grew up in a household where there was horrible domestic violence or a lot of aggression being acted out in the middle of the night, your traumatic symptoms will emerge during the night and disrupt your sleep. And you might think about trauma therapies like EMDR if indeed that fits your background. How long should you take trazodone for insomnia? That's indefinite. The trazodone is a good medication for insomnia, and it can be indefinite. I'm I can't quite. It's hard for me to read these long. Uh, all right. What would it take for me to be a keynote speaker at San Diego State University? Uh, I would just send it to attention, Susan. Right?
What? What?
There, somebody wants me to speak at San Diego State
Oh,
University.
just send it to go on the website. Well, just send it to contact at drdrew.com.
Right. Contactdr.com.
And then mention this where you saw it on the show,
And
Daily Dose.
Ike, I can't pronounce whatever you've got there as your screen name there on Facebook. Asked, how can I wire my brain?
I mean, we'd prefer you go to drdrew.com/contact and then go to. There's one that is from requests, media requests, and if you go there, then you'll also get on the email list. And when we have a show, you will be contacted immediately.
As I was saying, whose name I can't pronounce here, it says, how do I wire my brain not to be attracted to certain types of women? And the way to think about that is therapy. And I guess ideally a female therapist with whom you can form a good, secure attachment. It will change your internal maps a little bit so you won't be directed to people that are quite so exciting to you. And if you are a perfect instrument, so if you keep being attracted to a certain kind of person that are not available for a relationship, usually it's because of some trauma and some love map issue in your early childhood relating, and that can be rewired. It takes time. You can try to do it yourself by looking into love addiction material, something called Overcoming Love Addiction by Pia Melody. You can read that material and try to go for people that cause butterflies more than lightning bolts. And if you can pull that off, you may not need therapy. All right, I need another C-spine. Oh boy, I don't have an opinion for that on that C-spine surgery because I'd have to see a lot more information about what's going on with you. Did we have Mike on Ask Dr. Drew? Mike Catherwood? We did?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah, he's one of your first guests.
I didn't know if I'm getting confused.
And he was great. It was just like Loveline. He took calls. I was thinking about having him back.
I get confused on what was a podcast.
No,
and
he'll
what
be a
was
regular if he
Ask Dr.
can,
Drew.
find the time and come by. And then somebody asked if you're going to go on High and Dry with Jason and Mike.
So Tom asked, why is Dr. Drew in New York? I don't quite know what that question means. I'm not in New York right now. I'm going to be in a couple of weeks. Yes, Pia's love addiction book is excellent.
You're going to be doing a serious...
a little media tour with Sirius XM.
Be on the after show.
2
on
weeks?
Friday the 20...
No, Thursday. I think it's Thursday, isn't
I
it?
thought it was anyways.
Thursday.
So
or Wednesday. Actually, it's Wednesday. So it's 2 weeks from yesterday.
No.
And yes, Mystic, you can call in on Sunday. We have a call-in show Sunday at 3 to 5. And Dan, I have too many shows to keep track of.
No,
yes,
it's January 29th. What day is that?
You want me to look it up?
The 28th is Tuesday. Yeah, you're right. It is Wednesday. You're smarter than me. You're going to do the Jim Norton and Sam show at 9 to 10 Eastern, and then you're going to do Jenny McCarthy. Then you're going to do Andy Cohen.
Yep.
Then you're going to go see Nikki Glazer and go on her U Up show.
The last time I was on U Up, it was one of the funniest experiences I've ever had.
And
so
then
I look forward to
maybe
that.
you know what, you need to have somebody Periscope it while you're there. It'll be fun.
Okay. All right.
You should do your Periscope.
Do all of it on Periscope, the whole 3 hours or whatever?
No, just parts
just
of
the
it.
Nikki's,
I don't know. And then you're doing the Storm Warren show, which I've never heard of. Who's that?
I don't know. I don't remember. Who's in that one?
It says Storm Warren show.
I can never tell.
It
when
must
I
be
get
a new
there,
show.
I remember.
And then unless these are like news shows, and then the Raw Report 12:30, and then you follow up with the Stern wrap-up show. You have a really busy morning.
Yes, it's gonna be fun.
We're flying in really late the night before.
I know. It'll be fun.
Oh
Whatever.
My gosh, how are you going to do that on no sleep?
Won't be no sleep. It doesn't start.
Should we change the outbound flight to an earlier time, or do you have to do Corolla that day, right?
Oh man, we are having real-time conversation about this, and I have to go into my calendar to answer that question.
Yeah, you do it. You were going to do Corolla, and then I was going to pick you up at Corolla, and then take you to the airport. And oh boy, well, I like how they book the early mornings right now. You know, you're going to get in at 1 and be up at 6. So
6? What
have
time?
fun
What
with
time? What
that.
time does that whole thing
It says
start?
9 a.m.
All right, I'll be up at 7. It's all right. But that's for our time. That's the hard part.
Okay.
Let me just look here.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder if there is a way to do that a little sooner, earlier. I'm wondering, if I can convince Adam to go a little earlier that day. What do you think? Could I take an earlier flight? This is real time
No, you.
itinerary planning.
Yes, I mean, yeah, we can.
What's the
I think.
what's
Well, I can't because I think I paid for mine, but you use miles, so you can
so I can
change your
move around?
ticket.
Well, then you can upgrade and not feel bad about it. So
I'm not gonna get upgraded.
I
Now
will
I'm gonna
just
be on
ride
this
in
4:30
coach.
flight without you. I'm not gonna be happy about it. But
All right. I'm not sure everybody wants to hear us having our.
can't you just switch it? Well, this is when the left hand isn't connecting with the right hand.
No, it's
It
all
doesn't
fine.
know what the right hand's doing because they should have called me and said, "What time is your flight?" the day before they booked the whole
Oh,
day.
relax.
Well, he'll be sleeping in that afternoon, just so that if anybody wants to know. And there probably won't be a live show that day.
Yes, there will not be. Yeah.
You have to go to Sirius to hear more from Dr. Drew.
Right. Do I still have a medical practice? Yes, I do. I still have a medical practice. I'm not doing so much addictions and psych stuff anymore, but I'm doing straight medicine and dealing with just in the last 24 hours renal failure, bladder cancer, various kind of complex cardiac arrhythmias, stroke, Parkinson's. That's all general medicine I'm still dealing with. And I've been doing that for years and years and years. Carolyn asked something interesting, like what am I interested in right now? Or what did she ask? Let me see if I can find her question. What are my new areas of interest? Unfortunately, new areas of interest is trying to get our state in order here in California. It's such a catastrophe. When I read, I'm just really concerned that we have people dying in our streets and no one seems to be. The Nero is sort of fiddling away. It's too much for me. So my new area of interest is trying to find solutions to our mental health crisis, particularly in California, but it's nationwide. It's interesting that when I spend time in New York City, that they take care of their mentally ill. Though there's still homeless around, but they're all taken off the streets at night and given treatment and given motivational enhancement and given resources. And guess what? They use them, and
It's a lot easier there because they can take the subway though. Like they have more mobility and they can probably get to the shelters at night.
That's an interesting point, but they actually have armies of people taking them to these things. And in California,
yeah, because they don't have to put them in their
what
car.
people
They
don't,
just jump on a
but
subway.
it's not that. It's not in what people don't get about California is the laws in California prevent caretakers from getting at, accessing, or doing anything with people with severe mental health problems.
I think also the weather makes it. I mean, let's think about it. In the middle of the winter, there's no way a homeless person is going to stay on the street. They have to go into a shelter. So they get them used to it. They get them to move more because here it's beautiful weather all the time.
Well,
it's harder.
But many of them are defecating in the streets. They are psychotic or they are openly using heroin and meth. And we can't do people with those conditions have something called anosognosia, which is a block in the ability to see what's happening to them. Yeah. 90% of people with these conditions don't access treatment. When you study them, 80% of those people say they don't need it. So not seeing what's happening, that's called anosognosia. And laws in California prevent people from addressing that problem, anosognosia, unless they have dementia. And when they have dementia, you must rush in and treat the anosognosia or you will be guilty of negligence. Crazy. Insane. And that's what I'll be talking about in Sacramento primarily.
Well, and everybody's so spread out here, and they're just able to shoot up on the street and not be noticed. In New York, like you're walking down the street and you see them; they're just right there. And
there are less few of them. There are like 20,000 as opposed to 60,000, and they take care of them.
A tent there, smaller tents.
Right. So two things, Miss Co-host producer.
Sorry, I don't mean to talk over you, but
let me just say, listen carefully. A lot of people like the morning show. They like the morning stream. So there's a lot of positive on the morning. So we got to remember that. We'll try to do some mornings. Number two, they like this reality show of us acting out our life here right in front of them. Which,
we need to have Terry Dubrow back on your show.
Sure, anytime.
I've been pitched a couple of plastic surgeons, and he's an exception for having a show about plastic surgery.
So, Jessica, how do they come to realization? The people that have anosognosia is through treatment. And it takes a few weeks of treatment before they start to kind of wake up. And we're not allowed to do anything with that. We can't do that in California, which is, in my humble opinion, that's not just passive murder, that's active murder. And let's remember, dementia is an illness that we can't do anything for. It progresses how it progresses, and us jumping in and treating them is just about treating the symptoms and keeping them safe. Schizophrenia, psychotic disorders, addictions are all disorders that can be remitted, can be treated successfully, and change the entire course of that person's life. The longer they go on, the more dire the consequences and the more irretrievable they become. Why do we privilege anosognosia with dementia, with other, with other than dementia? It's crazy, 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 crazy. All right. It's beyond crazy. I mean, it makes me so angry, I can't even tell you. So we are committing murder in the name of some ill-conceived notion of civil liberty, to allow a diseased brain. If my brain stopped working because I developed a severe infection and I was unconscious, there would be a directive that my doctor would follow that I filled out just by virtue of having a relationship with a primary caretaker. We need a directive like that for psychiatric care. So if you get a diagnosis of schizophrenia, there's a template. You sit down with the doctor, preferably by law, and spell out how you would like us to approach you when you decompensate, which you will. It's a feature of the illness to have. Just like diabetes, sometimes your blood sugar goes out of control. That's true of all chronic mental illness. It comes and goes in intensity. And describe to us how you'd like us to approach it. Then we can circumvent these horrible, murderous laws. God damn it, it makes me angry. Oh, my God.
I'm ignoring you right now.
I know you are, because you've heard me spout about this too many times. All right.
No, it's horrendous. It really is.
And again, and I'm not suggesting they don't belong in jail. I'm not saying mandated anything. I'm saying let's set up the Trieste plan, which is a community-based, vocational rehabilitation-based, sort of outpatient managed, structured living environment. Let's do the Trieste plan. Let's do it. Fine. But we have to do it. Oh, my God. Oh, here's Rex, ready for his...
So you and Leanne can go into this on Sunday as well, because she's a huge advocate.
Yes, so Rex, come here. Well, Leanne has a different kind of thing on. Here's Rex.
There's
here
his
for
nose.
his usual... Yeah.
I'm sorry, he's not tall enough for this.
Here for his usual...
There's his nose.
Visit. San Francisco is so bad because you can't touch them. You can't do anything. Now, schizophrenics sometimes will do things with their stool, they will hoard their urine and stool. That's their belongings. They say that's their belongings. You can't touch it, regardless of the sanitation impact. And let's remind ourselves that all that feces and urine goes off the streets into the rivers
water.
And bypasses sewage treatment. So in Los Angeles,
Kills
you have a city almost the size of Pasadena bypassing sewage treatment. You don't think the environmentalists would freak out if that happened? And we're having sea mammal die-off here at the beaches. So where are the environmentalists?
Eight porpoise last year.
Oh, my God. Anyway,
Dolphins.
all right. So
It was terrible. Right after the rain.
Yes. Well,
we haven't had any rain.
Of course. You think there's a correlation? The city the size of Arcadia, sewage goes right into the ocean.
You can see the water. It turns brown.
The sea mammals are having to deal with that. Of course there's a die-off.
Kids are surfing out there. It's awful.
All
Somebody
right,
asked me if they should go to California or Miami. I said, go to Miami. The water's cleaner.
We'll just go to Miami
With
because
babies.
Florida has a sane government.
My tech guy has triplets and another child, and I said, just get a hotel in Miami because you don't want your kids in this water.
All right, so let me finish my thought on Leanne. So Leanne's position is more the representing the community members and their outrage at the risk this has all been posing to their children, particularly. She'll tell you her story, how it has now come into her cul-de-sac, quite literally, and that she has concerns now about how to manage her home safety, home sanitation, and the well-being of her children, including her school, where there's been infringement of really seriously problematic behavior. All right, she'll talk about that
go fire a shot in the air and see what happens.
What do you mean?
Get a gun, just shoot it in the air.
So Rich says, since when is schizophrenia not permanent? The illness is permanent, but the manifestations can be altered with treatment. Both CBT, so people can learn how to differentiate their delusions and not respond to them, and medication to suppress the illness and its progression And when you don't treat it, it literally burns itself out. People end up what's called burned out schizophrenia, which is a devastating state. It's
Wow.
like a dementia.
That's awful.
So, yeah, so please. All right. Let's wrap
We
this
still
thing
have
up.
a schizophrenic stalker after us. I have to.
He's
get
not
a-
schizophrenic. That's a meth addict stalker.
I thought
That's
he was schizophrenic.
no meth addiction. And so when people go on meth, they can look schizophrenic because they develop such a severe psychosis.
It's kind of. I don't know. I haven't followed him recently to see what he's up to.
So, all right. Anyway, let's kind of wrap this thing up.
Oh,
appreciate-
I know. I have an appointment, but thanks everybody for listening. And also, if you want to ask some questions on Sunday, text your question to 9842 Dr. Drew. We're gonna have a show for just callers with Dr. Neha. What's her last name, Drew?
Chauderay.
She's a psychiatrist, and they'll be taking calls in for an hour at 5 o'clock, and then also the Leanne Tweeden show will start at 3 to 5 with Ryan Holiday, and maybe some other guests we're working on. But if you text your question to 9842 Dr. Drew, now you'll be notified when we go live, and you can get your question right to the top and talk to Drew.
And Sarah, good luck on your exam. Let's get it on. We'll wrap it up and check out everything at drdrew.com. Don't forget, Miss Producer co-host wants to remind you that After Dark,
Mrs.
Miss.
And
Mrs.
Mrs.
Don't forget the merchmethod.com/Tom Segura. And check out that podcast as well.
And go to drdrew.com. You can find all the links there to everything we've been doing. We're going to set up our YouTube channel links so you can watch all the videos we've done. And we're going to try to, keep entertaining you with this.
We'll try. Have a great day, everybody.
Master.
And stay well. Talk to you soon.